What if one nation could change the US-China rivalry? Pakistan, 240 million people, 170 nuclear weapons, and positioned on the Arabian Sea, holds a critical edge. It borders China, India, Afghanistan, and Iran, where trade, conflict, and alliances meet. From GWADAR'S strategic port to Islamabad's high-stakes decisions, Pakistan could reshape global power. Why can't the US and China ignore it? Welcome to Chrono-Political. Pakistan's location is its strength. It sits next to China's western edge, India's tense border, Afghanistan's chaos, and Iran's oil-rich lands close to the Strait of Hormuz, where 20% of the world's oil flows. GWADAR Port, a busy coastal hub, is a game-changer. For fisherman AMIR, these waves mean hope, home, and a future for his kids. For China, GWADAR avoids the Malacca Strait, where US or Indian ships could block 80% of its oil. The US sees Pakistan as a shield against terrorism and China's growth, with 240 million people adding muscle. History shows why in 1947, Pakistan split from India in a chaotic break, moving 14 million people and leaving 1 million dead in fights. Long ago, Mughals and British battled for this land's control. In the Cold War, Pakistan joined the US, hosting spy planes against Russia. Today, its nuclear weapons and position make it a global player. Is Pakistan's location its power or its trap? China calls Pakistan its iron friend. The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or CPEC, a $62 billion part of China's Belt and Road Plan, builds roads, power plants, and GWADAR Port, a hub for trade and maybe Navy ships. In 2024, CPEC created 236,000 jobs and 8,000 megawatts of power, helping Pakistan's energy shortages. China gives Pakistan fighter jets, drones, and Navy ships to counter India. Trade is big. China sends $20.2 billion in goods, while Pakistan sends $2.8 billion back. But trouble grows. $30 billion of Pakistan's $124 billion debt comes from CPEC, raising fears of a debt trap, like Sri Lanka losing its port. In 2025, a bomb in Balochistan killed 12 Chinese workers, pushing China to demand more security. For China, CPEC means a safe sea path and a check on India. For AMIR, CPEC offers jobs but could hurt his fishing as the port grows. What if CPEC becomes a debt trap for Pakistan? The US can't ignore Pakistan. In the 1980s, Pakistan sent $3 billion in US weapons to Afghan fighters battling Russia. After 9/11, as a close US ally, it helped with drone strikes and supply routes in Afghanistan. But problems came. The US said Pakistan supported some terror groups, hurting trust. In 2023, the US backed a $3 billion IMF loan to save Pakistan's economy. In 2025, talks with Pakistan's army chief offered trade and tech deals, eyeing $5 trillion in Balochistan's rare minerals to rival China's tech lead. Pakistan sends 14.5% of its goods to the US, its top market, and needs US F-16 jets and training. The US wants Pakistan to watch Afghanistan's Taliban and slow China, but Iran's 2025 fights with the US over nuclear talks and drone strikes make it tough for Pakistan to stay neutral. For AMIR, US help could mean a stronger economy, but at what cost? What if Pakistan gets too close to the US? Pakistan walks a tightrope, juggling big powers and nearby tensions. It grabs CPEC's billions while chasing US aid and IMF loans. Leaders switch sides. Some push China's roads and power. Others want US trade. Pakistan lets China use GWADAR for trade ships, but allows US drones in its skies. India's growing US ties, $120 billion in trade and 2025 missile deals, raise Kashmir risks, pushing Pakistan toward China. Afghanistan's Taliban chaos brings 2025 border fights, killing 20 Pakistani soldiers, and 1.5 million refugees strain Pakistan's budget. Iran's US tensions, 2025 sanctions and drone hits threaten a $2 billion gas pipeline Pakistan needs for power, forcing hard choices. Saudi Arabia and the UAE, key Gulf allies, send $10 billion in worker money and $5 billion in investments yearly, helping Pakistan's economy but demanding it stay neutral in US-China and Iran-US fights. Inside Pakistan, politics are shaky. 5 leaders since 2018 show chaos. The 2023 arrest of former leader Imran Khan, charged with corruption but called a political target by supporters, sparks protests, splitting those favoring the US and China. These protests delay CPEC projects and US deals, leaving Pakistan stuck. For AMIR, this mess means uncertainty. Will jobs come or will trouble grow? Pakistan balances powers, neighbors, and its own divides. What if this balance breaks? Pakistan's 170 nuclear weapons and key location make it a world player. Neither US nor China can look away, but dangers are huge. Its $124 billion debt, with $30 billion from CPEC, risks economic crash. Balochistan's 2025 attacks, killing 12 Chinese workers, scare CPEC funds. India's US-backed missiles could spark Kashmir fights, pulling Pakistan to China. Afghanistan's Taliban chaos fuels terror attacks, killing 50 civilians in 2025, hurting US ties. Iran's US sanctions block Pakistan's gas pipeline, raising power costs. Saudi UAE money wants Pakistan neutral, but Imran Khan's arrest keeps protests going, slowing decisions. 3 scenarios stand out. Scenario 1. China's ally. Pakistan boosts CPEC and army ties. Economic impact: $10 billion in new roads creates 300,000 jobs by 2030. But debt hits $150 billion, risking collapse. Global impact: Pakistan gets stronger against India and works with Iran for gas. But US sanctions cut $3 billion in IMF aid, leaving Pakistan alone. Afghanistan's terror grows without US help. Saudi UAE cut $2 billion in funds, upset by China ties. Pakistan gains in Asia but loses Western support. Scenario 2. US ally. Pakistan takes US aid, F-16 jets, and IMF loans. Economic impact: $5 billion in trade keeps the economy steady, but CPEC stops, losing 100,000 jobs. Global impact: US help fights Afghanistan's terror, but China pulls $15 billion, weakening India defenses. Iran's gas pipeline fails, doubling power costs. Saudi UAE ties hold, but China's friends like Russia limit Pakistan's role. Pakistan gains US support but risks China's anger. Scenario 3. Neutral path. Pakistan balances both, aiming for a Central Asian trade hub via the TAPI pipeline. Economic impact: 6 to 7% economic growth, $8 billion from Japan, Saudi Arabia, and UAE. But debt and terror remain. Global impact: Pakistan calms Afghanistan fights, cutting border clashes by 30%. It starts trade talks with India, easing Kashmir risks. It gets some Iran gas despite US sanctions, balancing power needs. Saudi UAE keep investing, boosting Pakistan's name. But Khan's protests and US-China pressure make it tough. Pakistan could rise as a neutral leader, but risks terror and debt. What if Pakistan's choice changes the world? For AMIR, it's about jobs, not power, but his future is at stake. Pakistan isn't a superpower, but its weapons, land, and choices make it a key in the US-China rivalry. GWADAR'S port, India's tensions, Afghanistan's chaos, Iran's fights, and Gulf ties shape its road. Why can't the US and China ignore it? Because Pakistan's next move could reshape the world. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell for more Chrono-Political. Tell us, what's Pakistan's next step?